Welcome, everybody, to this episode of the Veteran Crowd Network Live. Today, as my guest, Lino Miani of the Combat Diver Foundation. We're going to be talking about Deep Dive 2021. Let me bring Lino on. Here we go. Lino Miani, how are you? Welcome
Oh,
to the
doing great, man.
program.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good
Doing
to
real well.
see you. Good to see you. Thanks for coming on. One of my favorite places on the face of the planet is the Floribama Lounge in Perdido Key, Florida. Just a bucket list location. And on August the 20th and 21st, you're going to be having a special event down there. But Lino, tell everybody a little bit about you and about the Diver Foundation, and then we're going to talk about Deep Dive 2021.
Well, I'm a lot less interesting than the Combat Diver Foundation in general, but we, as you know, because I've been on your show before, and we really appreciate what the Veteran Crowd does for veteran businesses. The Combat Diver Foundation is dedicated to preserving the history of the combat diver community writ large, and that's actually a bigger enterprise than it might sound, because combat diver history goes back decades, all the way back to the Second World War, and even before that. And it's international. So a lot of the technology and the techniques that we use today were developed mostly by the Italians and the Brits in the lead up to the Second World War. You could even draw a line a little bit further back. But in any case, we're dedicated to preserving that history. And one of the things that we try to do is bring the community together. And so one of the ways that we have conceived to try to do that is to have an annual fundraising reunion event. And Floribama became the home of that. And it goes back to the relationship I had with one of their owners, Cam Price, who himself is a combat diver. And he and I, we've got 20 years of history going back to when we were lieutenants in the infantry together.
That's interesting. Tell everybody what's going to happen on August 20th and 21st there at Floribama. Some interesting stuff scheduled, and not just the mullet toss, right?
Yeah, the mullet toss is probably a much bigger production than the deep dive is. But on the 21st of August, we're going to have what we call the Deep Dive 2021 Combat Diver Reunion. And so there's a number of events kind of that are part of the larger deep dive event. We're going to have a memorial 5K, which is in memory of a fallen combat diver by the name of John Werka, who's a 7th Group Warrant Officer. We are going to have an auction and a raffle. There's going to be live music. We're going to have all of us there to kind of tip some glasses and talk story about being combat divers and get together and high five and do the things that combat divers do when we get together. And we're going to have a charity dive. We hope. We're still organizing that. The pandemic has put a little bit of a damper on the.
What is a charity dive? Is that opportunity for landlubbers like myself to actually go out and scuba dive, or what's going to happen with that?
It actually is. So what we intend to do is we're going to auction off seats on the boat. And we're going to have a couple of active duty combat divers on the boat, and they're going to help the donors really create a memory. Basically, get wet with the combat divers, go down. We'll do a little probably a flag ceremony on an old wreck down there that we're familiar with in the Gulf, and just have a great day of diving. And so again, we're going to auction off seats on the boat, but we're still organizing that. And the challenge we have every year with the dive is that deep dive occurs in the hurricane season. And so when we did this in 2019, we actually got weathered out. So there is that possibility, but we'll account for that in the planning. And so we're looking forward to having everybody bidding on seats on that boat. One of the other things we're trying to organize is we'll have a static display of combat diver gear there at the Floribama Lounge. And then we're hoping to have a live demonstration of some combat diver action there on the beach. More to follow on that, but we're in talks with one of the units to do some cool stuff.
So you're 60 days out. It's time for folks to get going, get this on the calendar. Again, it's going to be August 20th to the 21st. Here's the Floribama. I gotta say, Floribama is a bucket list lounge. If you have not been there, steeped in history, right on the Florida-Alabama line. In Florida and Alabama actually traded territory in the 1960s, to build the bridge there across at Perdido Key. But I would argue that the greatest outcome wasn't the bridge. The greatest outcome was the founding of Floribama right there, straddling the new state line. What an awesome place. We need to get Cam Price on here again. We'll get him to come on and maybe do another promote as we get a little bit closer. Lino, you had a distinguished service yourself. You're a combat diver, a Green Beret. Tell us a little bit more about the foundation, and there's actually a museum, as well, that's part of the foundation, right?
Yeah, our ultimate goal, really, and we think the ultimate expression of preserving the history is to give it a home. And so we want to ultimately create the Combat Diver Museum. Now, that's a long-term project, and it's years in the future, but it's something that we're already working towards, and we're having discussions with folks in key locations and places that can influence that. But in the interim, we have commissioned a virtual Combat Diver Museum, which will be unveiling this summer, at least at the initial phases of it. And I gotta tell you, we hired some really talented individuals that got excited about the project sort of independently, and they have created a virtual museum like none other. And what I would tell the crowd here is that it looks like a space station underwater. It's amazing, and we're going to fill it with history. There's a theater, there's exhibit space, it's absolutely gorgeous. And I don't want to share that publicly just yet because we want to do a big unveiling of it at the deep dive.
Okay.
So yeah,
So
we're real
something
excited
else
about
to
it.
be excited about. How do individuals and corporations get involved?
Yeah, so if you go to the deep dive webpage, which you see at the bottom of the screen there is a sponsor page, and you'll see some of the businesses and the individuals that have sponsored the event. And so there's a brochure at the bottom, and companies that are interested in sponsoring the event and getting in front of a very kind of unique community within the special ops enterprise. You can sponsor that at different tiers, sponsorships, or donate prizes, or even do direct sales to reach customers that you might have trouble reaching. But what's more
Strikes me
important,
as a great networking opportunity for veteran-led businesses out there.
well, it is. And in fact, we're going to have the night before, we're going to have a members and friends barbecue that will include the sponsors, the donors, and the members of the Combat Diver Foundation. Also instructors at the Underwater Operations School down at Key West. So, we're going to get everybody together the night before, have a chance to do a little bit of FaceTime with everybody in that circle before we do the actual event on the 21st of August.
Lino, how do folks get in touch with you directly if they want to reach out?
Yeah, there's a contact block on our homepage at combatdiver.org.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great way to just reach out to us if you want to talk to somebody in the leadership at Combat Diver Foundation. We can also be reached on all of our social media channels: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter.
We'll try to get the handles for all of that out to everybody, and be sure that people can stay in touch and stay in track. Will you come back on the Veteran Crowd Network Live and give us an update, maybe in about a month? We can do this again.
Yeah, I'd love to.
All right.
Because I think by that point we'll have a few of the other events like the dive and hopefully the demonstration pinned down, and so we can talk in more detail about that. We also plan on, and it's worth noting, the 5K in particular is a memorial 5K.
Mm-hmm.
So we plan on talking to John Worka's wife and some of our advisors that have had their own journeys with mental health awareness or mental health issues as veterans and soldiers. And so we're gonna talk to them about that. We are going to discuss. We're going to do a Q&A this summer about the Combat Diver Foundation in general. So there'll be some interesting things that we'll be able to talk to and highlight here on your show in about a month.
Okay. Well, listen, everybody, you've been listening to the Veteran Crowd Network Live. My guest has been Lino Miani of the Combat Diver Foundation. Lino, thanks for coming on to the program. Throw out a bravo Zulu to you for that. Thanks so much for being here. Everybody, look, let's go to the website here, combatdiver.org. Check out Deep Dive 2021. And look, you got to be in Perdido Key on August the 20th and 21st. This is an event that you're not going to want to miss. Hey, Lino, thanks for stepping into the live network spotlight for me today.
Hey, no problem, Bob. It's always a pleasure.
All right, we'll have you back in about a month. We're going to get another update on this event. Hey, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to the Veteran Crowd Network Live, and that's a wrap.